Welcome back to Transfers Talk Tennessee Sports. I'm Katie Mack.
And I'm Jewel Spear.
Well, happy March 4th. It is a super, super exciting month of basketball coming up, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. But we're going to start with the Lady Vols senior day win over Texas A&M last Thursday. Jewel, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was a very special win. Anytime you can win on senior night in front of your fans, especially for your seniors, is very special. And we also played A&M, who we also lost to early in the year. So we knew we had to win this game on senior night, especially for the standings as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you guys definitely came in really, really aggressive with a chip on your shoulder, ready to win for the seniors. And so that was really, really fun to watch. I did want to ask you, is it weird? You know, the whole nature of our show is Transfers Talk Tennessee Sports. You transferred in this year. Is it weird going through senior day with 4 other girls that you haven't necessarily been with your entire career? How does that work?
It definitely is different, this being my first year at Tennessee. But, being here, I'm a person that really values relationships, and I've been able to value these relationships with these 4 other people since I've gotten here. So it still is a special night, and the fans have supported me since I've gotten here. So I really do still take this moment as very special.
That's awesome. And you were telling me earlier that both your parents were there.
Yes.
How special was that?
It was very special as well. My mom and dad came, and just seeing them for the first time in a while to come and walk me out together was really cool. And a very special moment because I know that they've supported me ever since I was a little girl at the age of 5 playing basketball, which is crazy thinking about it now.
Right. It's so full circle, like standing there and being like, oh my gosh, like I've come so far.
Exactly.
I'm standing in this massive arena, and it once was just like a little
rec center.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So, like we were talking about, there were 5 seniors that were honored. Jasmine and Rakia are done for good.
That was their last year.
How was that, going through that?
I mean, it was emotional, but we know we have more games to play, so we weren't obviously teary-eyed.
Right.
But, walking into the locker room and seeing our teammates decorating our lockers was very special, and just taking that all in, but always cherishing the moments that we have together.
Absolutely. That's so important. And so the other 3 of you, so you and Tamari and Tess,
Yes.
you guys have another year of eligibility available to you.
Correct. We haven't made a decision officially. We're honestly just trying to focus on this year, the rest of this year with the SEC tournament coming up, and then the NCAA tournament coming up. But like you said, we do have 1 year of eligibility, and we look forward to making that decision after the season.
Well, I hope you guys get to play together again next year here, hopefully. Fingers crossed. The Lady Vols have been playing really, really well.
Yes.
Win Thursday night, and then you guys went to South Carolina on Sunday and actually put up a really, really competitive fight. So we're going to talk about the South Carolina game next. Up next, we're going to talk about the Lady Vols' last regular season game. It was at South Carolina yesterday, and it was a really, really competitive road loss. It was 76-68. Jewel, can you talk to me a little bit about that game?
Yeah, it was very competitive, like you said. Playing at South Carolina is very hard. It was a sold-out arena with 18,000 people on their senior night. So we knew it was going to be loud. We knew it was going to be competitive. It was a very competitive game when we played them here in Knoxville.
Right.
But we came up short here and there. But I'd say the difference is we were more poised. I could see us being poised even when we went down by 15. We stuck together, and we cut that lead.
That was actually one thing I wanted to talk about. That was really, really impressive. The fact that you guys were down by 15 at one point in the 3rd period, and then by the 4th, you guys came back. You brought the score, the deficit down to 3 at one point. You guys ended up losing by 8. But that seemed to be an area where the Lady Vols were struggling a little bit in the last couple of weeks, particularly against LSU. You guys were really, really strong through, the first 3, and then the last one you just kind of fell off a little bit. So what has Coach Harper been talking to you guys about? What have you guys been discussing as a team to really stay, composed during that last stretch of the game?
Yeah, she's been talking to us about, playing 40 minutes instead of just 32 minutes.
Yep.
And it's not by choice of us just playing 32 minutes. It
Fatigue.
could be mental fatigue, physical fatigue, but just fighting through that barrier. And I think we saw that at South Carolina. Like I said, it's a hard place to play, especially when you're playing a team that hasn't lost a regular season game in 2 years. So
right.
We went down there. We competed for 4 quarters. We came up short, but like you said, we cut that lead from 15-3, and it just came from different people making plays, from people coming off the bench making plays, or Rakia Jackson getting the bucket, myself making a 3, Tess Darby making a 3, and Jasmine Powell making plays as well.
That's awesome. There was a lot of confidence and there was a lot of aggression on the court. So I was excited to see that all kind of falling into place as you guys head into the SEC tournament later this week. So speaking of that, the SEC standings were finally solidified as of yesterday when the regular season games ended. These were the rankings as of February 29th, and these are the final rankings. So talk to me a little bit about the differences here.
Yeah, the main difference is right here. Tennessee was 4th and Alabama was 5th. But after last night's game, Alabama actually beat A&M at A&M, and we came up short against South Carolina at South Carolina. And early in the year, we played Alabama at Alabama, and we came up short there. So the records look the same over there, 10-6, but they had the head-to-head victory against us, so they get the fourth seed. Got
it. So what is the difference between being top 4 versus being 5th going into an SEC tournament?
Yeah, well, as you can see here at the bracket, Alabama is the 4th seed, so they get a double round bye, and we're the 5th seed, so we only get a single round bye. But at the end of the day, you have to win, 3 games or 4 games or even 5 games in 5 days, 4 days, or 3 days. So it's really just about, it's the end of the year. People are tired, but who's going to be more sharp mentally and be able to fight game after game after game.
Absolutely. So what it's shaping up to be here is you guys will play the winner of Georgia versus Kentucky.
Correct.
And then if you guys move forward from that game, you guys will go on to play Alabama and then potentially South Carolina, LSU, Ole Miss, any of these teams on these later on games. So these are the top 4 teams in the SEC. You guys have played them, earlier on the season. There's been, a couple tough losses, obviously. That's why they're ranked ahead. So talk to me a little bit about each of those teams, what strengths those teams are bringing into this tournament, and, what the Lady Vols are going to do to, battle against that.
Exactly. So obviously we have to take it game by game. I know that sounds cliche, but with number 1 with South Carolina, everybody knows, they've won plenty of national championships, SEC championships. They're the regular season champs right now. Like I said, they haven't lost a regular season game in the past 2 years, which is very dominant. Yeah, they came up a little bit short, last year in the NCAA tournament, playing a good team in Iowa with Caitlin Clark, as we know. But offensively, they're sharp. They have a lot of depth. Coming off the bench, their defense, they're really good. They got, some tall, athletic post players with Ashlyn Watkins and Camila Cardosa. They got a good point guard in Raven Johnson and a shooter in Tahina Paopao. Number 4, Alabama. They're playing really good basketball right now. Offensively, Sarah Ashley Barker and Aaliyah Nye is leading them. They play pretty good defense as well, too. Very active, trying to deny the wings and the point guard as well. 2, LSU, defending national champions. So that speaks for itself. With Angel Reese, Haley Van Lith, Flau'jae Johnson, and Anissa Morrow, and more. People just coming in here and making plays. And Michaela Williams, too, as a freshman. And lastly, Ole Miss, they defend. That's their motto. They defend, and they do it really well. Have a lot of players that are very long, lanky, that like to, get in your grill per se and really just try to, speed you up on offense. So those are the top 4 seeds right there, but there are some teams that can make a run here.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing that I think is the coolest about women's basketball is that really anybody could do anything from here. Like obviously the teams that are playing in the first round, like they'll have to play more games to get to this final game here. But who do you think out of all these SEC teams would be the dark horse per se?
Yeah, so I don't want to be biased. Obviously, I could say us, but
I don't
really think anybody sees us as a dark horse. Because we were right there for that 4th seed, as you said.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But if I had to name 2 teams right now, I would honestly say Auburn. Auburn's playing really good basketball.
Yeah,
they defend really well. And if they win this game, they play LSU. They beat LSU early in the year at home.
That's right.
And they came up a little bit short at LSU. So seeing that matchup would be huge. And another one I would say is probably Florida. I know they're playing in the first on the first day, but they're playing really good basketball as well. They've lost a couple close games, but one key game I remember is them winning on the road at Mississippi State, which is a really good ball club as well, too. So I could see them making a run. They have, good players that come off the bench, and Aaliyah and Leilani Correa, who are really good players. So if they make a run here, I could see them getting here and making a run right there, too, as well. So we will see. You just have to tune in March 6th, and that's when it all starts.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really exciting. The Lady Vols travel starting tomorrow, and you guys play for the first time on Thursday.
Yes.
So looking forward to watching you guys play in the SEC tournament. Up next, we're going to take a look at some projections for the women's NCAA tournament. And Jewel is going to lead this discussion because I am somewhat of a dummy when it comes to women's NCAA tournament. So this is going to be an education session for all of us.
Yes, so I got you. So first, we're going to start off with on the bubble. So as you can see, the last 4 byes, we have teams of Marquette, Michigan, Auburn, and Maryland. So what that means is the last 4 byes are the people that are in the field. They will not have to play a play-in game. The last 4 in, we have Mississippi State, Washington State, Vanderbilt, and Green Bay. These 4 teams will have to play a play-in game against 4 mid-major teams, which equals 68 teams in the NCAA bracket. So those 4 teams will have to play before being in the field. So they'll have to play 4 mid-major teams to make it into the field.
And win.
Yes. The first 4 out, you see Texas A&M, Columbia, Penn State, and Villanova. Those 4 teams are the 4 teams that just missed the bracket. They just missed the NCAA tournament, so they will not be playing in the tournament. And the next 4 out are the 4 teams right below the first 4 out who will also miss the tournament as well in Arizona, St. Joseph's, Washington, and California. So as I spoke to the last 4 in, those 4 teams will have to play a play-in game. That will take place on March 20th to 21st. And then after that, the teams that win will go to the first round. And as you are pointing to, Tennessee over there, the 9th seed, they would play Florida State, who we also played early in the year. I believe it was the 2nd game of the season at Florida State. We lost by 1 point, which was
devastating.
So devastating. But it's okay, if we do happen to play them, we'll have some familiarity with it.
Some emotion behind it, too.
Some emotion, too. And hopefully, win that game. And if we win that game, we would play Ohio State, who we also played early in the year. We came up short. We didn't have Rakia Jackson. She was out due to injury. But we did lose that game. But those first round games will take place March 22nd to 23rd. The winners will go on to the second round and play March 24th to 25th. And then you have the Sweet 16, which Tennessee is very familiar with. They will play March 29th to 30th, those teams. And then you have the Elite 8, which is March 31st to April 1st. Then you have the Final 4, which is April 5th, and it will be held in Cleveland, Ohio. And then the national championship will be April 7th. So these are all, great teams that make it into the field, and it's very exciting to make it into the NCAA tournament. I made it my freshman year of college. It was very different because of COVID. So we were isolated in our hotels in San Antonio and all that, but just to, make it again, these are projections, but, if we were to make it again, just to do it with a new team would be very special, to see, the fans travel and support us. And you really just have to take it game by game because, like you said, it's March and crazy things happen in March.
Well, I really, really hope we get to see the Lady Vols in that national championship game in April. And thank you so much for that education session. I'm feeling a lot more knowledgeable about this subject now. Up next, the men's basketball team is actually playing their final regular season game on Wednesday against South Carolina. And this game is super, super contentious because it will decide who is going to be the #1 seed going into their SEC tournament, which is next week in
March 13th
and 17th. So stay tuned for that. Check out that game, and we will see you guys back here in 2 weeks. See y'all next time.